Okay, let's try and unpack this. Imagine a spiritual figure who, well, embodies everything you've probably been taught to avoid on the path to enlightenment.
Yeah.
Laughter, dancing, flirting, fighting, even maybe strategic maneuvering, breaking the rules we think are sacred.
Right.
And yet this figure is considered profoundly divine, a deity for millions. It's confusing, isn't it?
It really is. It challenges so much.
Yeah, it challenges everything we sort of think we know about spiritual perfection. So today we're diving deep into this enigma, the figure of Krishna. He doesn't just bend the rules, he seems to almost shatter our conventional ideas about divinity, about spiritual purity.
Completely shattered them.
Our deep dive, it's based on this fascinating dialogue that really confronts our assumptions head on. It invites us to radically rethink what it actually means to be whole. And our mission for you today isn't just about understanding who Krishna is, historically or mythologically. It's more about what he represents for us right now in this modern world that seems to demand we compartmentalize everything. We separate our spiritual side from our daily life, our work, our relationships. So get ready for maybe some aha moments, things that might just change how you see your own path, maybe inviting you to embrace something fuller, more integrated.
And what's so fascinating here right from the start is how this perspective just cuts through the usual spiritual talk,
Right.
the stuff that often emphasizes separation, renunciation.
Yeah, letting go.
Exactly. This isn't really about dry historical doctrine. It's much more about a fundamental shift in how we see things, a shift in perception about life itself. And this deep dive, it's going to challenge that whole idea of division sacred versus profane, spiritual versus worldly, heaven versus earth. It asks this really provocative question. Have we, maybe inadvertently, murdered the possibility of wholeness by chasing some kind of fragmented perfection?
Wow, murdered the possibility of wholeness. That's strong.
It is strong, but think about it. By trying to be only good or only spiritual, have we maybe cut ourselves off from a deeper, richer reality? This isn't just philosophy, you see. It's an invitation. An invitation to see how things that seem like total opposites, contradictions, how they can actually coexist, maybe even thrive together. And in doing that, reveal a deeper truth. One that feels ancient, but also incredibly relevant to our modern struggles, trying to feel authentic and integrated.
Okay, so let's start right there, where the confusion often kicks in for people. So many spiritual teachings across so many traditions, they really emphasize renunciation.
They absolutely do. It's a common thread.
Drop the world. See desire as dangerous, something to be wary of.
Yeah.
Pleasure,
Yeah.
that's basically poison. And the body, well, it's just this temporary trap, right? A vessel holding us back from real freedom. Just think about it. You see monks heading for the mountains, ascetics denying themselves basic comforts. There's this common belief that to be truly spiritual, you've got to pull back, disconnect somehow.
Disengage.
Yeah, disengage from the everyday stuff, the human experience. It's all about letting go, letting go, letting go. The world is seen as like a distraction, a snare that just keeps you tangled in suffering and illusion.
A very clear separation.
Exactly. It promotes this almost surgical separation from, the ordinary fabric of life.
Yeah.
But then you encounter Krishna, and suddenly all those carefully built ideas, those deeply held beliefs about what a spiritual being should be, they just kind of unravel.
They really do.
He doesn't renounce, he embraces. He doesn't drop the world, he dances in it. The source really highlights this contrast. Traditional paths say drop the world, fear desire, avoid pleasure, see the body as a trap.
Right.
But Krishna, he laughs.
Right.
With this infectious, totally uninhibited joy. He dances with complete freedom, like pure delight, drawing everyone in. He flirts, playfully engaging lovingly with the world around him. He fights fiercely when he needs to, embodying strength, courage, taking decisive action on the battlefield. And yeah, in some stories, especially in the Mahabharata, that vast cosmic drama,
Oh, definitely.
he's shown using strategy, manipulation, even things that look like lies, but for some greater purpose. Yet, despite all this stuff that seems to fly right in the face of spiritual purity, he's revered, universally called divine.
It's a paradox.
It is. So the natural question, the one that trips up so many seekers, even people deep into spirituality, is why? Why is Krishna so different? Isn't he pretty much everything a spiritual person is not supposed to be?
Right. How can that work?
How can someone who engages so fully, so, let's be honest, messily, so humanly with the world, how can he be the ultimate ideal of divinity? It's a profound paradox. It really forces you to pause and question your definitions, doesn't it?
Absolutely. What does spiritual or divine even mean if it includes all that?
It's almost like he's daring us, you know, daring us to look beyond our neat little boxes of right and wrong, sacred and profane.
And that raises this incredibly important question, doesn't it? Why does Krishna seem to contradict so much of what we usually link with spiritual attainment?
Yeah.
Well, the perspective we're exploring here argues that Krishna isn't just different, he is whole, complete.
Yeah.
And it's this very wholeness, this completeness that disturbs people.
Okay. The wholeness itself is the disturbing.
Exactly. Because for centuries, maybe millennia, we've been systematically dividing life up, putting things into compartments, sacred here, profane there, spiritual over here, worldly over there, heaven up high, earth down low. Think about how we do it constantly.
Yeah.
Spirituality becomes this thing in a neat box, maybe something for Sunday morning, or a meditation cushion, totally separate from our jobs, our families, our fun, our struggles.
Right. It's like spiritual time versus real life.
Precisely. We draw these artificial lines, these mental walls. We might see work as just secular, a means to an end, nothing to do with our spiritual practice. Or we label emotions, anger is bad, compassion is good.
Yeah, we definitely do that.
We suppress the bad ones. Even our body is often seen as something separate from our true spiritual selves, something to ignore or transcend. And in this relentless dividing, this drawing lines where maybe none really exist, we've inadvertently, as the Source says, murdered the possibility of wholeness.
Wow.
We become fragmented, always striving for one part of ourselves while pushing down another. It leads to this endless internal battle.
That makes a lot of sense.
So this isn't just about figuring out Krishna, it's really about confronting our own internal divisions. The Source powerfully suggests our discomfort with Krishna comes directly from our fragmented view of life, our struggle to reconcile opposites within ourselves and the world.
Because he doesn't fit our category.
Exactly. We like order neat boxes, Krishna shatters them. So this challenges us. If dividing life up is the problem, then how does Krishna actually navigate this world full of what we call dangers like desire without getting trapped like we fear we would?
Right. How does he stay whole when he's right in the middle of everything we're told to run away from? That really is the core of it, isn't it? If we're not meant to divide, okay, but the world is full of things that tempt us, distract us, desires that feel, well, potentially harmful. How do we engage without getting sucked in? It's a totally natural fear.
Oh, completely natural.
You hear it everywhere in spiritual circles. But won't the world just pull me down? Aren't desires fundamentally dangerous? Isn't renunciation the only truly safe path to truth? These questions are deep, you know, baked into how we think about getting better, about spiritual growth. We're basically conditioned to be wary, super cautious, to back away from anything that might mess with our spiritual purity. The fear is if you give in even a little bit to desire, you'll just get swallowed whole, lost in the material world forever, you know? Can't find your way back.
Right, that the slope is slippery and leads only downward.
Exactly. It's this almost intuitive belief. Safety is in distance, purity is in absence.
And this is where the Source offers something really, well, radical. A redefinition of desire and danger. It suggests that desires are dangerous only if you fear life, or only if you cannot see through desire, or, and this is key, only if you are caught in it, not conscious of it.
Ah, okay. So it's about the consciousness, not the desire itself.
Precisely. That's a fundamental distinction. It's not the desire itself that's the issue, but the state of unconsciousness we bring to it. Desire, in this view, is like neutral energy, like electricity.
Oh.
It can power your house or it can give you a nasty shock. The problem isn't the electricity itself, it's being unaware, handling it blindly. When we're swept away by desire without awareness, driven by it unconsciously, that's the danger, not the desire itself. So the key concept, desire isn't the problem, unconsciousness is. To really drive this home, the Source uses this incredibly vivid analogy, the sword.
Okay, yeah.
A sword is a powerful tool, right? Potent. Now imagine that sword in the hands of someone who's asleep.
Yeah.
Completely unaware of its sharpness, his own movements.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
It's deadly, a menace to himself, to others. Accidental harm waiting to happen because there's zero conscious control. But take that exact same sword, put it in the hands of an awake warrior, someone skilled, conscious. It protects, it liberates, it becomes a tool for defense, for precision, maybe even for art. The sword itself hasn't changed. Its nature is the same. What changed?
The awareness of the person holding it.
Exactly, the consciousness of the wielder. The analogy shows powerfully that the danger isn't in the thing itself, the desire, the power, the pleasure, but in the lack of conscious presence we bring to it. And this is precisely where Krishna's luminous awareness comes in. He lives fully in the world, yes, with all its messiness and temptations, but with such a deep, radiant awareness that the world just can't bind him.
He's not pulled around by it.
No. He's not pulled by attachment or pushed away by aversion. He can walk onto a battlefield, total chaos, violence, noise, with the inner stillness, the deep peace of a Buddha. He keeps this unshakable inner calm, this centeredness, even when everything around him is falling apart. When he dances, it's with the pure, uninhibited joy of a child. No self-consciousness, no ego, no hidden agenda.
Just pure expression.
Just pure delight. And when he loves with this incredible maturity of someone who knows everything passes.
Right.
It's not a love that clings or demands or fears loss. It's a love that appreciates the fragile beauty of connection, understands it's temporary, but isn't diminished by that knowledge. He can engage fully because he is fully aware.
Okay, I see.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, the implication is huge. It suggests the issue isn't what we do, whether we have desires, engage with the world, have relationships, but how we do it. What's our state of awareness in that moment?
That changes everything.
It completely redefines purity. It's not about the absence of desire or worldly stuff anymore. It's about the presence of consciousness within the desire, within the engagement. It invites us to think. Maybe true freedom isn't escaping life, building walls against it, but engaging with it totally, completely, yet remaining unbound, untouched by unconscious reactions. This is such a radical shift from that common idea that you've got to give things up, retreat, to be spiritual.
Yeah. It turns it inside out.
It really does. It suggests that how you engage with your desires, with that luminous awareness, or just on autopilot, unconsciously, that's the absolute key to liberation. It frees you up to actually live fully, knowing your path isn't withdrawal, but conscious, integrated participation.
Okay, but this conscious engagement, it even seems to extend into areas we normally think of as, well, morally gray, or even wrong, which is a huge hurdle for many people.
Absolutely.
The Source tackles this head on. It says something like, what about morality? What about Dharma? Krishna breaks the rules in the Mahabharata. He lies, he manipulates, he tricks. Shouldn't a divine being be perfect?
The expectation of perfection.
Yeah, and we usually define perfect by, following the rules perfectly. We have these clear lines: right, wrong, good, evil, truth, falsehood. A divine being in our heads should be this beacon of virtue, never straying from the moral code, always truthful, always ethical by our standards.
Right. No shades of gray allowed.
Exactly. So the idea that Krishna, this divine figure, could lie or manipulate, it's deeply unsettling to that conventional view. It forces us to face this fundamental contradiction in how we think about spirituality and ethics. And it leaves you wondering, how on earth do you reconcile that?
This is where the Source introduces a really profound distinction. It challenges the very definition of perfection we usually hold on to. It states that true perfection is freedom from the need to obey or rebel.
Freedom from the need to obey or rebel. Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Well, think about it. It's not about just rigidly following external rules like a kid obeying out of fear. And it's not about just breaking rules for the sake of breaking them, like some kind of pointless rebellion. It's about moving beyond that entire framework of external judgment. Krishna doesn't follow rules. The Source says he follows consciousness.
Okay, follows consciousness, not a rule book.
Exactly. His actions don't come from some prescribed list of do's and don'ts. They come from this deep, internal, intuitive knowing of the moment, a spontaneous response born from total awareness. This is actually closer to the deeper meaning of Dharma, not just rules, but the inherent natural way things are, acting in alignment with that cosmic flow, not just external commands. And the nuance of his actions is absolutely critical here. The Source explains, sometimes, to protect the whole, the part must be sacrificed.
Like the greater good argument.
Sort of, but from a much deeper perspective. It implies this higher calculation, a holistic view, where something that looks like a transgression on the surface, breaking a smaller rule, actually serves a much larger beneficial outcome for the whole system. Think of a surgeon making an incision. To someone who doesn't understand, it looks like harm. But the surgeon, with deeper knowledge, knows cutting is sometimes needed to save the whole life. It's not about personal gain or malice. It's about alignment with the overall well-being. And similarly, sometimes a truth must be hidden to reveal a greater truth. This isn't just an excuse for lying. It's inviting us to look beyond the surface, to see that what looks like a lie from our narrow dualistic view might actually be a necessary step, maybe a difficult one, towards unfolding a more profound reality later on.
So it's about timing and perspective.
Yes. Knowing when directness works and when a different path is needed for the deeper truth to emerge. And the source offers this really powerful shift in perspective. You see lies, he sees the play, you see manipulation, he sees the movement of a vast cosmic drama.
Wow, okay, that changes things.
Doesn't it? It challenges our limited human viewpoint, which is often stuck on single events, moral judgments, personal wins and losses. Krishna, from this perspective, is operating on this grand cosmic stage, like a master director of an incredibly intricate play. Every character, every line, every twist, it all serves the bigger story, the unfolding of universal evolution, of liberation. He's not hung up on the individual scenes, he sees the whole arc. And this leads to a really critical understanding. Krishna is amoral, not immoral.
Amoral, not immoral. Okay, what's the difference there?
It's vital. He doesn't operate based on society's usual ideas of good and bad, because those are often just constructs built on fear, social norms, limited understanding. Instead, he lives from the center of being, this deep, intuitive core where those dualities of good, bad, right, wrong, they just dissolve.
They don't apply in the same way.
Exactly. Now, this isn't a free pass for unethical behavior or just acting on selfish impulses, not at all. It describes a being whose actions aren't driven by ego or personal desire or wanting approval. They come from a place of complete unity with existence itself. He acts from a deep alignment with the whole. That state transcends our limited, dualistic moral frameworks. His actions are just expressions of that total alignment without personal attachment or judgment.
Okay, that's a very different way of looking at it.
It is. And to help us grasp it, the source uses this beautiful analogy. The river.
Oh, the river.
The river just flows, right? Tirelessly. It waters fields, brings life, allows crops to grow, communities to thrive. But that same river, with its immense power, can also drown someone who's careless, sweep away those who aren't prepared.
True, it does both.
But the river does not judge. It just flows from its source, expressing its nature completely, impartially. No malice, no favoritism. Krishna is like that river, flowing spontaneously from the source of being, not clinging to good or rejecting bad, simply expressing completely, serving the larger flow of existence. His actions reflect truth and necessity, not personal preference or some superficial moral code.
That's a powerful image. The river doesn't judge.
Isn't it? And what's so fascinating here is the profound difference it highlights between our usual morality, external rule-based, and a morality rooted in consciousness, internal, intuitive, context-driven. It really forces us to question our assumptions about good and evil. It suggests true wisdom might come from acting from that deep alignment, not just rigidly sticking to rules.
It's a radical thought.
It is, especially if you're grappling with ethical choices in your own life. It invites a shift from asking, is this right or wrong according to the rules, to maybe asking what action right now aligns most deeply with the consciousness of the whole, with the greater truth. This perspective challenges your basic understanding of right and wrong. It invites you to consider this higher, more expansive view where action is guided by deep awareness for the greater good, not just a fixed set of societal rules. It frees you from that burden of rigid adherence, opens the door to a more intuitive, conscious way of living. So if Krishna embodies this radical wholeness, how does his approach stack up against other major spiritual figures we revere, like the Buddha, for instance? He seems to embody such a different path. It feels like a real contrast, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a really crucial comparison. Because when you think of archetypal spiritual figures, Buddha often springs to mind immediately, right? As the embodiment of stillness, detachment, quiet contemplation, a path of renunciation.
The epitome of peace, yes.
He represents this profound inner peace that's achieved by withdrawing from worldly desires. So if Krishna is all about inclusion, dynamism, playful engagement, even contradiction, why that form? Why the flute, symbolizing music and joy? Why the involvement with women, symbolizing intimate connection? Why the laughter when so much spirituality feels so serious? Why not a silent, meditative figure like the Buddha, representing stillness and detachment? It seems like such a stark contrast, almost like two opposite ends of the spiritual spectrum.
It can definitely seem that way.
We often see these paths as, like, mutually exclusive. You have to choose. Are you the serene, still mountain or the vibrant, flowing river? How can both be considered ultimate expressions of the divine?
And the source clarifies this apparent conflict beautifully. It reveals they're actually profoundly complementary. It explains, quite simply, because you need Krishna.
Nah. Not one or the other, but both are needed.
Exactly. It's not a competition, not a contradiction. It's like they are two notes in the same song. A complete melody, a full experience of reality needs both notes. If you only play one, the song feels incomplete. They serve different but equally vital aspects of our human journey and spiritual awakening.
Okay, two notes in the same song. I like that.
Let's look at their teachings and how they embody them. The Buddha, through his life, his presence, he shows you silence. His path is often about quiet introspection, deep meditation, clear detachment from worldly distractions and attachments.
Right, the path of letting go.
He teaches stillness, emphasizing the calm stopping of desire, the deep peace found inside by letting go. He's often presented as the mountain, stable, unmoving, this eternal symbol of unwavering peace, detachment, the serenity that comes from rising above the world's temporary storms. His core message is essentially drop all.
Drop the attachments, the illusions.
Yes. Drop your attachments, illusions, ego, desires. Find ultimate liberation. Reach nirvana. His is a path of profound inner quiet, ultimate release. Krishna, on the other hand, shows you music. His path is vibrant engagement. Life is a celebration, a rhythm, a cosmic dance. He teaches motion without madness.
Motion without madness, okay.
Meaning how to be dynamically active in the world, fully immersed in its joys, its challenges, but without getting swept away by the chaos, without losing your inner center. He is the river, constantly flowing, dynamic, always moving, embracing everything in its path, yet always connected back to its source. His message is profoundly inclusive. Include all, transcend all. He doesn't say drop life, retreat from it. He says embrace it fully, consciously, and in doing so, rise above its limits, its entanglements. It's about engaging with the world so completely that you find freedom within it, not apart from it.
Finding freedom in the midst of life, not away from it.
Precisely. So the essence of Krishna is presented as the song of wholeness. He embodies this harmonious integration of all aspects of life, the sacred and the profane, the still and the dynamic, the detached and the engaged, the joyful and the serious. He's the ultimate embodiment of living fully, without fragmenting yourself, without denying any part of your human experience. He's the master of living in the world, but not of the world, demonstrating that true spirituality isn't about escaping reality, but embracing it with conscious awareness.
That makes so much sense.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it reveals this profound truth. Spiritual paths are diverse because we are diverse. Human needs are infinitely varied. One path might emphasize stillness, like Buddha's, serving those who find freedom through quietness and detachment.
Right.
Another, like Krishna's, emphasizes movement and full engagement, serving those who find their truth through dynamic action and joyful participation. This understanding is so critical for you, the listener, because it frees you from feeling pressured to follow just one rigid path, especially if it doesn't truly resonate with who you are.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off having to fit into one mold.
Exactly. It allows you to explore what really calls to your unique spirit, recognizing there isn't just one universal template for spiritual growth, but a whole spectrum of valid ways, each necessary for the full symphony of human potential. This offers such a liberating perspective if you've ever felt torn between different spiritual approaches or even just your own personal inclinations. It suggests both stillness and dynamic engagement can lead to freedom, and that your unique path might actually embrace elements that seem contradictory, finding harmony and wholeness in their dance.
That is genuinely expansive,
Yeah.
really liberating. So, okay, if Krishna embraces everything, even contradiction, and if that's the song of wholeness, what does this really mean for us? Trying to navigate our own lives, which often feel chaotic, confused, and full of contradictions. How do we bring these big ideas down to earth?
Okay, let's really dig into that. If Krishna is the song of wholeness, what specific things does he invite us to embrace? Things that maybe for a long time we've been taught we should reject if we want to be spiritual or moral. And what can this teach us today, right now, in our often chaotic, confused, fragmented world? This is where Krishna's message becomes incredibly practical, profoundly relevant to our daily lives.
Yeah, how does it apply day to day?
We live in a world that's constantly pressuring us, isn't it? To conform, to suppress parts of ourselves, to fit into these narrow boxes of what's acceptable or spiritual. We're taught, often subtly, to be serious, avoid certain emotions like anger or jealousy, deny desires as bad. But Krishna offers this radically different path, breathtakingly inclusive. The source is very clear. Krishna embraces everything typically rejected or feared on conventional spiritual paths. And it's not a half-hearted embrace. It's complete, fearless, conscious acceptance of the totality of human experience. He embraces joy, not just fleeting superficial pleasure, but that deep, resonant state of being that's actually our natural birthright. We often hold back our joy, don't we? Fearing it's unspiritual or won't last. Krishna says, immerse yourself in it. He embraces sex. Not as sin or distraction, but as a natural, powerful, life-affirming creative force. A fundamental human energy to be experienced consciously, without shame, without unconscious entanglement. He embraces power, not for ego, control, or ambition, but as an energy to be handled with awareness, responsibility, for the good of the whole. Like a skillful leader uses influence.
Responsibility is key there.
Absolutely. He even embraces war, recognizing that sometimes conflict, upheaval, however difficult, is part of the cosmic drama. Something to be engaged with clarity, courage, purpose, not just naive avoidance. And most strikingly, he embraces contradiction itself, showing that things that seem opposite aren't just okay, they're essential. They define a deeper, richer truth. The whole is greater than the parts.
Embracing contradiction. That's challenging.
It is. But this embracing of totality isn't about being reckless. It's based on this profound principle of awareness and integration. The core idea is this. Because only by embracing the totality of existence can you move beyond its grip. Repression binds. Awareness frees.
Repression binds.
Yeah.
Awareness frees. Okay.
Think about it. When you repress something, a desire, an emotion, some shadow part of you, it doesn't just vanish, it festers, creates inner conflict, anxiety, limits your freedom, drains your energy.
Right. It takes energy to keep it down.
Exactly. But when you bring awareness to it, acknowledge it, integrate it, you transcend its power over you. It's like trying to hold sand tightly in your fist. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips out. But if you just open your hand, let it rest there, it stays, freely, unbound, but present. Awareness lets everything be there without binding you. So what does Krishna's modern teaching look like for us? Here, now, in the middle of our daily lives, our jobs, our relationships, he teaches. Dance, laugh, love, fight when needed, but never lose yourself.
Okay. Engage fully, but stay centered.
Precisely. It's about full, vibrant engagement with all aspects of life, but without losing your inner center, your grounding in consciousness. Be vibrantly alive. Express all your human stuff, creativity, passion, strength, vulnerability, but always from that place of deep self-awareness, not just unconscious reaction or ego. He sums it up perfectly. Be in the world, but don't let the world be in you.
That's the classic line.
It is, and it holds the key. That's ultimate freedom. Participating fully in life's big drama, immersing yourself in experiences, but without being defined or controlled or bound by the external stuff, the fleeting desires, the judgments. You are both the observer and the participant.
Okay.
And the source gives really specific, practical applications, things that bring this right into your experience. He teaches us to work, yes, engage in your profession, be productive, use your skills, but not as a slave to ambition.
Not just chasing success blindly.
Right. It's about conscious contribution, purpose-driven action, not that relentless, ego-fueled striving that burns so many people out and leaves them feeling empty. He teaches us to love, experience the profound beauty of connection, intimacy, relationships, but not as an addict to attachment.
Without the clinging and fear.
Exactly, without the desperate clinging, the possessiveness, the fear of loss that so often turns love into suffering. It's a love that flows freely, appreciates the temporary nature of things without demanding ownership. And he teaches us to speak, but not as an echo of others.
Find your own voice.
Yes, express your own deepest truth, your unique perspective. Don't just repeat what you've been told, what society expects, what's safe. It's about genuine self-expression from inner conviction, even if it rocks the boat a little. And the ultimate result of this conscious engagement, this deep integration, it's truly transformative. When you are rooted in awareness, whatever you do becomes sacred.
Wow. Everything.
Everything. The mundane chores, daily routines, interactions at work, just breathing, the challenges you face, they all get imbued with this spiritual quality when you approach them with complete presence, intention, and open heart. There's no more rigid split between sacred rituals in a special place and your ordinary life. Life itself becomes the ritual, the ongoing sacred dance.
Like is the temple.
Precisely. And this raises a really important question for all of us, doesn't it? Are we really living fully? Or are we constantly censoring ourselves, repressing parts of who we are, denying whole aspects of our being because we're afraid of straying from some narrow prescribed path of what's spiritual or what's good? This perspective suggests true mastery isn't about avoiding life's complexities, its temptations or challenges. Quite the opposite. It's about engaging with them fully from that place of deep, unshakable awareness, transforming every single action into a conscious expression of your authentic self. It's a profound call to conscious, integrated living. Turning the mundane into the sacred, recognizing spirituality isn't just for Sundays. It can infuse every single moment.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Truly transformative, in theory. But it also really touches on that very real, very common inner conflict so many of us feel.
Yeah.
That constant pull. Sometimes you want to meditate, cultivate stillness, detach. And other times you just want to dive into life, enjoy it fully, explore, fall in love, create things, and engage deeply.
That tension.
Yeah. We feel torn, like we have to choose one or the other. So what does this all mean for us personally when we're grappling with that internal tug of war? The Source really nails this struggle. It almost echoes that voice in our heads. But I'm full of inner conflict. Sometimes I want to meditate. Other times I want to enjoy, explore, fall in love, create. I feel torn.
So relatable.
It really is.
Yeah.
That feeling of being pulled in completely different directions.
Yeah.
As if you have to sacrifice one part of yourself for another. As if spiritual growth somehow means denying your human experience. We judge ourselves so harshly for wanting both, believing we have to pick a side, believing wholeness just isn't possible.
And right here, dealing with that very real conflict, the Source offers something profoundly comforting. Liberating, really. It gently reassures us with incredible insight that conflict is not real, it's borrowed from the outside. Inside you is a Krishna longing to be born.
Wow. The conflict isn't real, it's borrowed.
That's the radical reframe, isn't it? It's saying that feeling of being torn, pulled into, it's not some inherent flaw in us. It's not a sign we're inadequate or unspiritual. It's actually a product of external conditioning.
Conditioning from society, religion.
Exactly. Societal judgments, religious dogmas, things that have taught us to divide ourselves up, to put our desires and aspirations into separate, often conflicting boxes. The inherent truth, this perspective suggests, is that we are fundamentally whole. And that very wholeness, that vibrant, playful, aware Krishna energy, it's already inside us, waiting patiently to be recognized, unleashed, expressed. The core message here, the liberating part is, you are not two. You are one split by judgment, divided by conditioning.
Split by judgment. Okay.
We are naturally integrated beings, whole and complete by nature. But the outside world, with its rigid categories, good, bad, spiritual, worldly, acceptable, unacceptable, it creates this artificial split in how we see ourselves. We learn to censor ourselves, deny parts of our being that don't fit those boxes. This division we feel, it's an illusion, a learned habit we've picked up. The truth is, all those seemingly opposing urges, the urge for stillness and the urge for action, the urge for transcendence and the urge for connection, they all spring from the same source of life within you. Just different expressions of the same vital energy.
So we don't have to choose between them.
No. Krishna, in this understanding, invites you not to choose, but to become undivided. He doesn't ask you to sacrifice one for the other. He asks you to integrate them, bring them into a harmonious dance. He invites you to meditate and love.
Meditate and love.
Yes. Find that deep stillness, that inner peace, while simultaneously embracing deep connection, intimacy, compassion. See meditation not as running away from relationships, but as something that helps you be more fully present within them. He calls you to act and rest.
Act and rest.
Engage dynamically, purposefully with life's challenges. Contribute your unique gifts. But also find those times for deep peace, rejuvenation, surrender. Recognize that both action and stillness are vital rhythms in a full life. And he urges you to enjoy and surrender.
Enjoy AD, surrender.
Delight in the richness of life. Savor pleasure, beauty, experience it fully, without guilt. But always with that underlying awareness that everything is temporary. Be willing to let it go when the time comes without desperately clinging or craving. That's the real dance of freedom.
That feels whole.
Doesn't it? And the outcome of accepting this invitation, of choosing to live totally with conscious awareness, it's truly transformative.
Yeah.
Then life becomes a dance. Not a struggle, not a sermon, but a symphony.
A symphony, I like that.
It's no longer this heavy burden, this rigid set of rules, this endless battle against yourself. It becomes fluid, harmonious, a joyful expression of your deepest being. And in that state, you become free, not from life, but within it.
Free within life.
That's the crucial distinction, the radical shift. It's not about escaping the world or transcending it by leaving it behind. It's about mastering the art of living fully, consciously within it, completely unburdened by its demands, its distractions, its attachments, its ups and downs. You become the conscious choreographer of your own existence.
Okay.
And then the most intimate, the most profound realization comes through. Krishna won't just stay a distant myth, a historical figure, a cold statue in a temple somewhere. He will be a fragrance in your walk, a rhythm in your heart, a smile in your being. That is the true Krishna, alive, not in temples, but in you.
Wow. The divine within.
Exactly. It means the divine isn't some external thing to worship from afar, separate from who you are. It becomes this inherent living quality of your own liberated, integrated self. It's the natural state of wholeness just manifesting in your actions, your feelings, your breath. It's shifting from seeking something out there to recognizing what's always been in here. And what's so fascinating is how this reframes that inner conflict. It's not a personal failing, not spiritual weakness. It's just a conditioned response, a misunderstanding born from outside pressures. It strongly suggests our deepest, most authentic longing is for integration, for that unborn dance to finally happen in our lives. This is really an invitation to release judgment about all our diverse desires and impulses, and instead just bring conscious awareness to everything we are, realizing that wholeness isn't something we achieve. It's our natural state, just waiting to be rediscovered.
That's incredibly powerful.
And perhaps the most profound takeaway for you, our listener, it directly addresses that painful feeling of being torn, offering this clear, compassionate path towards integration, self-acceptance, and ultimately a more joyful, harmonious life. It's a call to look inward, past all the noise of external expectations, and find that complete, undivided self that's waiting there.
This whole deep dive, it really has been a revelation. It shifts our understanding of Krishna, doesn't it?
Yep.
From some external God to this potential inside us. For the first time, maybe, you might really feel what Krishna embodies. Not just someone to worship from a distance, but someone, an energy, a potential to awaken within yourself. That forgotten wholeness, that unborn dance, that inner joy. It's not waiting for you to renounce everything. It's just waiting for your simple, conscious realization. It's about recognizing that the essence isn't out there in some old text or far-off temple. It's right here, inside the fabric of your own being, waiting for you to unlock it and live it.
Which raises that important, lingering question for all of us, doesn't it? What would your life actually look like? How would it feel if you truly embraced this undivided self, this inner Krishna? The ultimate call to action here, it isn't about following another rule or some specific dogma. It's simply to go live.
Go live.
Go live your life as if life itself is your temple. See every moment, every interaction, every desire, every struggle, every joy. See it all as part of this grand, sacred play with you as the conscious participant. And truly believe that the divine, that song of wholeness, is playing a flute somewhere deep inside you, ready to guide your every step.
So what does this all mean for you? It means perhaps that the most profound, the most liberating spiritual journey, it isn't found in rigid rules or strict self-denial. It's found in the courageous, conscious, and joyful embrace of all that you are and all that life brings your way. Allow that inner music to guide your dance. Let it flow through you, making every moment an expression of your true, undivided self. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.